Hi everyone, I hope you are well. My name is Sol. I am one of the meteor workers here at Threshold, and today we are going to do a look at the SIVA INS. So, SIVA is a nickname for the actual name of the system, which is the Carousel IVA Inertial Navigation System, a big mouthful. And the point of this video is to take a look at Philip SIVA. That's what we're going to be featuring today, and acquaint people to how the SIVA works, how you can compare it to the FMS that exists in most modern aircraft, or the MCDU for Airbus's sake. So we're going to be looking at that, and we're not going to be doing any flying. It's just to get you comfortable with the SIVA, what it does, how it works, and how you can use it for your flying. Because in order to actually operate the SIVA, that's pretty dependent on your aircraft in terms of control and stuff like that. So we're going to be using the FlightJSim 727 because this has the best integration for the SIVA at the moment, in order to show you what it is like to do it inside of an aircraft, with the end goal to be looking at some other aircraft as well. This is going to be a mini SIVA series where we highlight some of the things that the SIVA can do. So I'm sure you can guess that the next aircraft on the list is the Concorde, but that will come at a later date. So, we are on the ground here at Los Angeles International Airport. As I said, we are in the FlightJSim 727. We are in the cargo variant, and we're at the cargo area right now. So, I have started the APU. I've got everything else set up, and we are pretty much ready to get started on programming in the SIVA. All right, so now we're in the cockpit of the 727. This is a pretty familiar place for people who have flown the aircraft before. We're not going to be going over that today. That you can find how to fly the aircraft from many other creators out there, and there will be a link to Q8 Pilot's video on the 727 in the description. Since he is a partner with Threshold, he made a really great video, and he helped me learn how to fly the 727. So I already have the SIVA set up in the menu to appear right here. So this is what the SIVA looks like. But if you're going to be following along with Philip's SIVA, like I'm using right now, you can always go down to the plugin menu like I just did there, and then you can show it. And it will pop up on your screen right here, and you sometimes need to use it like this if you are flying any other aircraft. All right, so let's get into some basic functionality, just so that you all can understand exactly what the SIVA does and all of that. So the way that I like to think about it is that it's an old school way of it's like an old school FMC. It's like the very first iteration of this, and it is the most manual thing you can do. You can kind of think of it how cars have automatic and manual transmissions, and how once most cars switched over to automatic transmission, a lot of your workload was taken off of you because you didn't need to pay attention to the resolutions per minute and all that stuff. This is like the same principle. It is a navigation system just like the FMS is, but it requires a little bit more work. Okay, so in order to start up the SIVA, the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure it is powered by AC power. It does have a battery, which can last for about 30 minutes, and then it dies, but you really don't want to do that. It's mainly just for emergency situations. So we are not in any of those situations right now, so it is most logical to have it hooked up to AC power, which is what we have right now. So we're all set and ready to go with that. Once you make sure that the SIVA is connected to initial power, then you want to go down here, and you want to switch this to DSRTK and STS. So STS stands for status, and DSRTK stands for desired track. So once you're done with that, you want to throw it into standby mode right there. And I'm going to walk you through what these numbers mean. You want to make sure it looks like this. So you want to make sure that it has all of these numbers here, 0, 9, and 5. 0 is the status, the performance index is 9, and the desired performance is 5. So you want to make sure that this is all set here before you get going. And this is pretty much like when I'm going to use the Airbus as an example here because I am the most familiar with it. This is like when you go up to the ADIRSs and you go into position and you see that it has the very high number in there because the IRSs have not aligned yet. So that's just a quick way to think about it. All right, so once you have everything there, you keep it on standby and then you switch to position. Whoops. You switch to position. Some butterfingers there. Actually, that's a really good opportunity. Where I slipped, this is just a dimming thing. So if you want to be able to, if it's too bright for you or too dim for you, then you can just adjust it there. Anyway, position. So there's a number of ways that you can go about this. And we're going to look at a few here and discuss exactly what this is. So a good way to think about this is how when you are setting your initial position in the FMS or MCDU, you put in the airport and then it has the coordinates in, then you copy in and paste that in. This is the same exact principle. So there's a few ways that we can look at this. The first is if you have access to charts, a lot of charts, specifically gates, it's a little bit less common for cargo ramps, like where we are situated right now, but gates tend to have their coordinates put in there. So you can actually, if you have charts available to you, you can look up the airport that you were at, and you can find the coordinates for whichever airport you're at. And it's really, really helpful, and it saves you an extra step, which is the next thing that I'm going to show you. But if you are able to do that, I highly recommend it. The other way is by using X-planes latitude and longitude thing, and you're most likely going to be needing to use this if you're at a smaller airport, or as I said, if you are situated at a cargo ramp which does not have coordinates. I know that for instance, Navigraph does not provide coordinates for cargo ramps at Oakland International Airport, and you would use this if you just don't have access to that. But there is an extra step that is involved here. So there are a few ways to insert your position coordinates here. The first is if you have access to charts, such as Navigraph's charts, then you can look up the stand coordinates or the gate coordinates, depending on what part of the world you're in. And there will be a list of all of the gates and their coordinates. So you can check that, and then you can just throw that in here depending on which gate you're at. So there's two ways that you can insert your position coordinates here. First, you can either look on your charts that you have. For instance, I'm going to use Navigraph charts as an example because that's what I use. And you can look up the coordinates for whatever stand or gate that you are situated at, and you can throw them in here. And that's the really, really easy way to do it, and does not require any extra steps. However, you may find that when you are at a cargo gate, there is a lesser chance that these coordinates will be listed there. And in that case, you're going to need to use the second method, which is a little bit more time consuming, but is also really not that bad. And that is using X-planes, latitude, and longitude here, which you can find by going into your menu, going into data output, and then scrolling down. I apologize, I have reshade on, so it's a little bit bright here. And by going down to 20, which is latitude, longitude, and altitude, and clicking that. So once you have that, you're not quite done yet. There's one more step, and you need to go to a latitude-longitude conversion. And you may be asking yourself, why is that? Well, the really simple answer is x-plane works in decimal degrees. So these coordinates are in decimal degrees, except the CIVA INS only works in decimal minute seconds, which is DMS. So you need to use some sort of converter. And I have put a converter down in the description in order to help you out there. It is really, really helpful. You just throw in the x-plane latitude and longitude coordinates in there, and then it will tell you what your conversion is. One thing to note, I'm not going to be using any coordinates here or any numbers, because I found that when I have watched tutorials, having other people throw in other numbers is a little bit confusing. So this is really just to understand the basic functionality. But one thing to keep in mind is that when you are putting in your coordinates, before you throw in north, so let's say we have, I don't know, let's say we have north 2300. Yeah, 2300. So before you put in north, you need to put north here, and then we're doing 2300 there, and we'll just throw in another 0 because why not? And then west, which is 4, and then as you can see, there's north, west, east, and south, and I'll explain how you figure that out in a second. And then let's say we're just doing 652. Oh, whoopsie, my bad. Once you put in everything there, then you need to press insert, and then you can do whatever you're going to do here, and let's just say it's that, and then insert there. So this is in order to put your direction for your coordinates. And let me quickly explain that. So basically, in the United Kingdom, there's the prime meridian, and that basically dictates what is east and what is west. So when you are west of the prime meridian, so if you look at the prime meridian and you're going left, then all these coordinates will be, those coordinates will be W, and then if you're east of the prime meridian, so if you're right, then that will be to the right, and then the equator dictates north and south. So if you're ever confused at it, you can just look at what airport you are on the map, and that should give you a really good idea, so then you're able to put that in properly. So then once you're all set here, and you're done putting everything in, then you just switch it, to a line. And that's very similar to every other navigation system that exists. So then from there, you want to put in your waypoints. So what you're going to do is you're going to switch to waypoint. And then there are many ways that you can do this, but a really great way is going on SkyVector, which I'm going to pop up on the screen right now, and then generating your flight plan. I'm going to be generating a flight plan from Los Angeles to Oakland. And then once you've thrown your flight plan in, which you can also connect to via SimBrief, if you put in your entire flight plan, you get everything set, then you scroll down to the bottom and you export it into SkyVector. Then you just go to Navlog, which I have circled here, and then it will give you all the coordinates for wherever you are going, including what's great about SkyVector is it tells you whether it's north or whether it's west. And for all these coordinates that are in SkyVector, those are already converted to work with the CIVA, so you don't have to do that conversion thing that I talked about. But since the CIVA can only accept a certain number of coordinates, you just do them all the way until you're done, and then you press insert. There's 9 coordinates, 0 through 9. Your first coordinate is your position. So then you just click all the way through these. This is how you click through coordinates, and then you just put in the coordinates in the order that they come. So it's really that simple. It's just like a FMS, except it just requires a little bit more time, and you need the resources in order to actually see what the coordinates are of the waypoints that you are going to. So let's say you're going direct to Ventura, for instance. All you have to do is if you have a waypoint before that, then you put that in here, and then let's say Ventura is number 2, you throw in the coordinates for that. And then once you put in the coordinates for Ventura, then you just continue on through there, and it's the same as an FMC or MCDU. Now, one thing that's important to note, you may have noticed that I said that there were only 9 coordinates here. So you can only store up to 9 at a time, but a great thing about the SIVA is that once it gets to the last one, then it reverts back to the beginning. So when you want to do a longer flight that requires more of these, all you have to do is overwrite the coordinates that you've put at the beginning, and it's as simple as that. You just continue going on. So then once you're done putting in all of your coordinates, then you want to make sure everything is aligned. So you go switch here, and you want that to be as close to 0 as possible. And then once you're set with that, you just go into nav mode, and then you are all set with everything, and you can fly with the SIVA. And as I said, using the SIVA depends on whichever aircraft you're flying with, so I'm not going to be going into detail about that today. But once you put everything in, as I said, you throw it into nav, and then you're all set to go, and you have everything in there. So this has been a quick look at the SIVA, how to use it, and how you can compare it to the FMS and MCDU. I hope this has been helpful. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I try to answer as many comments as possible or questions. And as I said, everything that I have covered in here, there will be links to various products that I have used in the description so that it'll be easy for you to figure out how everything works. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video.